Uyuni is a city in the southwest of Bolivia. Uyuni primarily serves as a gateway for tourists visiting the world's largest salt flats, the nearby Uyuni Salt Flats. Each year, the city receives approximately 60,000 visitors from around the globe. Agriculture in the area is generally limited to quinoa, llamas, and sheep. Founded in 1890 as a trading post, the city has a population of 29,672. The town has an extensive street market. It lies at the edge of an extensive plain at an elevation of 3,700 meters, 12,139 feet, above sea level, with more mountainous country to the east. One of the major tourist attractions of the area is an antique train cemetery. It is located 3 kilometers outside Uyuni and is connected to it by the old train tracks. The town served in the past as a distribution hub for the trains carrying minerals on their way to the Pacific Ocean ports. The train lines were built by British engineers who arrived near the end of the 19th century and formed a sizable community in Uyuni. The engineers were invited by British-sponsored Antofagasta and Bolivia railway companies, which is now Ferrocarril de Antofagasta of Bolivia. The rail construction started in 1888 and ended in 1892. It was encouraged by the then Bolivian president Aniceto Arce, who believed Bolivia would flourish with a good transport system, but it was also constantly sabotaged by the local indigenous people who saw it as an intrusion into their lives. The trains were mostly used by the mining companies. In the 1940s, the mining industry collapsed, partly due to the mineral depletion. Many trains were abandoned, thereby producing the train cemetery. Just outside the Uyuni salt flats lies the quaint salt processing village of Colchani. This tiny village of just over 600 people is home to Bolivia's largest salt processing cooperative. Years ago, the inhabitants of Colchani used to exploit salt to exchange with other indigenous communities. The Salt Museum is a picturesque space, consists of salt bricks and a multitude of carved sculptures. It isn't your typical museum, as it takes no longer than 5 to 10 minutes to see all that it has to offer.